This is National Finals Week. In just 5 days, one of our cooks will walk away with a £10,000 prize and the title of Britain's Best Dish 2010.
We've seen the strange.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is squirrel.
The splendid.
Magnificent.
And the simply sensational.
This monkfish curry is divine.
Britain's Best Dish just gets better and better.
Now we're left with the best of the best.
Craig's Thai Spice Mackerel. Nadia's Chicken Korma. Rachel's Posset.
It's finals week, and yesterday saw the 7 starter cooks culled to 2.
Stephen. Peck.
Today it's the turn of the 7 surviving mains.
The first time you delivered this...
Sorry, John, do that back in a minute.
He's really panicking.
The stakes are higher.
Got a new little twist and
But listen, mate, why are you trying a new twist now?
This has got to be the best curry that you've ever made in your life.
The competition's even tougher as they have to impress 3 ferocious food critics.
I think they sting like a bee more than float like a butterfly.
there's almost no flavour at all in that.
That should come with a warning on it.
Only 2 can triumph.
I still think I've got the winning dish.
You've got to get it right at this stage in the competition.
And fight on for the title of Britain's Best Dish 2010.
He's doing something so mad that I think he might just completely crash and burn.
Hello everybody, and a warm welcome to Britain's Best Dish and the second day of our national finals. Once again, there are no cooks in the studio because we've packed them off to the unforgiving surroundings of the professional kitchens at the Hackney Community College, where they'll be serving up their specialities to a no-nonsense panel of food critics. Today it's the turn of our main course contenders. We begin with 7 hopefuls, but by close of play, just 2 will have survived the critics' cut.
So far, the main course contestants have been totally at the mercy of the judges. But today, Ed, Gilly and John will only hold half the marks. Dishing out the remaining 50%, this trio of formidable food critics. Ruler of the restaurant, Charles Campion, has spent his life terrifying chefs up and down the country.
I would like to see cooks who get the basics right, cook from the heart, cook with passion, and don't do odd things on odd-shaped plates.
With almost 24 cookery books to her name, writer and restaurant reviewer Sophie Grigson knows exactly what she wants.
The main course should be the star of a meal. It's got to be exciting, it's got to have big flavour, and it's got to have a little bit of pizzazz to it.
Last of the threatening threesome is award-winning food magazine editor William Sitwell, who has a reputation for being fair but unforgiving.
If something has failed, then you've got to not worry about the fact that that could cause that person untold misery.
So the pressure is well and truly on for today's 7 mains cooks. And first to step up to the plate is personal trainer Andrew Batchelor, who won the South East Heats with his ultimate fish and chips.
I'm really excited for this one, and I want to send everybody else home packing.
Sports Development Coordinator Rebecca Connolly took gold when her scouse with herb dumplings won in the northwest of England.
Just going to keep myself really focused on the task, making sure that I'm tasting the food, because I know that was a suggestion from Ed last time.
Retired science teacher Peter Stafford finished top of the class in the southwest with his game pie.
I'm familiar with Charles Campion, very high-profile critic, quite well renowned. Not the most sensitive person in terms of his comments.
Next up, it's barman George Dingle, who triumphed in the Midlands with his chicken stroganoff pie and triple-cooked chips.
My biggest challenge today with my dish is getting all the timings right and making sure that pastry comes out the pie dish properly.
Curry-loving sheet metal worker Jonathan Davies pummeled the opposition in the Northern Heats with his seared masala spring lamb.
I don't want to bash metal for the rest of my life. I want food to be my future.
Curry came out tops again in the east of England, this time with housewife Najia Salman's chicken badami korma.
As far as cooking is concerned, I will try my best and let's see what happens afterwards.
And completing the lineup is a third curry after retired car salesman Malcolm Condy took pole position in the Scotland and Northern Ireland heats with his Burmese monkfish curry.
I know who the critics are, but the only problem I have is, I mean, how do they know what Burmese food tastes like? I mean, there's only one Burmese restaurant in the UK.
And if taking on the critics isn't enough, the 7 surviving main course cooks also have to contend with the unfamiliar surroundings of a professional kitchen.
They're amateur cooks, and as a professional chef, I tell you now, I wouldn't like this pressure.
With main course cookery, it's all about what happens in that last 5-10 minutes. Now, we've seen it before. It can go horribly wrong at the end, or it can be a real triumph and achievement.
We've taken you out of your comfort zone. You're here in a professional kitchen. Warning, everything's very hot. The surfaces are hot if you've got the flame up. Whoosh, enormous heat. So beware that you don't go over the top with the delicate parts of your dishes. You could. Be careful.
OK, guys, you've heard it all now. Enough talking. Let's get on with the cooking. Off you go, and good luck.
As well as sharing today's scoring with the critics, the judges are also on hand to mentor the mains cooks.
It doesn't matter whatever you're doing when you're jointing a bird, that V-bone's now removed, and then when you want to take the breast off, right, it's a straight cut against the carcass.
But someone who thinks he knows better is the South East's Andrew Batchelor, a personal trainer who hopes to serve up the very best of British with his ultimate fish and chips, though he seems dangerously dismissive of the critics.
The only opinion I respect was yours. You're the one with the Michelin star. Said I don't care about the food critics, so.
Very good point, and I can't help agreeing with you, Andrew. And actually, my opinion of them is probably about the same as yours.
Exactly.
Because anyone can be a critic, but can they cook?
Now, they've used the word ultimate fish and chips in the title, which I think is a very risky gamble. It suggests that it's the best one we're ever going to eat.
It's boastful. He's got put up, now he's either got to do it or shut up. That's it, yeah.
The only problem is mushy peas. I mean, I really hate mushy peas.
So Andrew has his work cut out for him, even though he blitzed the competition in the regional final.
The batter on the fish is phenomenal. The chips are 100% better.
Wow, you've hit the potential today. 10 out of 10. Perfect plate of fish and chips.
The pressure's tougher than ever, but he's decided it's the right time to introduce a risky new element to his dish.
He's stuffing the marrowfat peas inside the cod. Well, OK, very clever. Will it work? We'll have to wait and see. Again, he's right on the wire.
What's all this thing about you stuffing your fish?
I've got a new little twist, and.
But listen, mate, why are you trying a new twist now?
Because I'm a risk taker.
What does it do to improve your dish, then?
I think it's almost like the element of surprise. You're not expecting mushy peas to come out of the fish, and they're all saying, "Where's my mushy peas gone?" And you know, they go into the fish, and there it is. So I've never seen it done before, so you know.
But why take a risk now, man? You've got it all, you know, it's all going so well.
I think John and Ed are on board with the idea of the mushy peas, but I don't think Gilly is too much. She thinks I'm a bit mad for doing it.
He's doing something so mad that I think he might just completely crash and burn.
So will Andrew's new mushy peas tactic prove to be his undoing? A few feet across the kitchen, 39-year-old Rebecca Connolly is championing her working-class traditional Liverpudlian stew, scouse with herb dumplings.
What I wanted to do is I wanted to just bring a little bit of that Liverpool taste down here today so that the critics will see that the dish is a really well-tasted and well-prepared dish.
Scouse. I want to taste this because scouse is such an interesting dish. It's incredibly basic and homely. It's not visual.
Fine if this was a competition in Romania to find Romania's best dish.
I think if you've got the nerve to put scouse on the menu, then you are going to be doing the best scouse ever, possibly even the ultimate scouse.
So far, yoga teacher Rebecca has earned top marks from the judges.
This is a sailor's sort of dish, and it's like the sirens of the sea. It just calls to you to keep having more, as John is proving.
The meat is absolute melt in the mouth, and the cabbage is gorgeous.
And in the regional final,
Just delicious. All the flavours are lovely. It's all come together. The meat flakes very nicely. A sensational stew.
there was only one area where the judges thought she could do even better.
I love the dumplings texture. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, but I remember them being a bit more flavoury last time, a bit more seasoned, and maybe they had a slightly more of a herbiness to them.
So today, Jilly's casting a watchful eye over Rebecca's dumpling prep.
And you're going to, I think, put your dumplings in now, Leo, too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using the dumplings in about maybe 30 minutes, and I'm going to make them smaller as well.
Are you?
And I think from the comment that you said last time about them, some part of it wasn't 100% flavour of the herb, so I'm going to make sure that the herbs are much more finely chopped, so that there's a better
very
spread.
big.
Yeah.
The effect of having big herbs too is it broke out of your dumpling. Instead of it being a little neat thing, it sort of became much more untidy and ragged because you had bits of parsley sticking out.
But there's something else worrying Ed.
At the moment, obviously, all the veggies are still very, very raw.
Yeah.
Come back in about 40 minutes, and this is going to look a completely different dish.
It will need to, but Ed's not so sure.
The vegetables are a variety of different shapes and size. I mean, it really is. It looks like it's been fed through a lawnmower, and it's the veg that's been spat out the back end of it has been thrown into the pot. So some of these potatoes are going to disintegrate, some of them are going to maybe not be cooked or sort of hanging in there.
I think it needs a bit more salt.
And his concerns seem to have rubbed off on Rebecca.
It's the potatoes, because you do them quite large, you know what I mean? And I've just halved them all because I was just worried that they could be a little bit too raw, do you know what I mean? So I've halved the size of them. Do you want to have a look, or are you okay?
No, let's have a look, because you know what I really think? I really think that what you're doing now is panicking.
So can Rebecca stay calm, or are her veg and dumplings to be her downfall? Coming up, cool heads are needed in the kitchen.
If I start panicking or I start worrying, I'm going to start making mistakes.
But the pressure's mounting.
The first time you delivered this...
Sorry, John, do that back in a minute.
He was really panicking.
And the critics expect.
Stroganoff is not a pie. And stroganoff is not chicken.
Welcome back to Britain's Best Dish. It's National Finals Week and our 7 remaining main course cooks are fighting it out in the professional kitchens of Hackney Community College. Just 2 can go through to the final head-to-heads on Thursday, so for 5 of them, today is the end of the road and the end of their hopes of winning the Best Dish title and the £10,000 prize that goes with it.
For our Super 7 main course cooks, it's the toughest test yet. Cooking for 3 critics and coping with the unfamiliar environment of a professional kitchen. Retired science teacher Peter Stafford is hoping he's learnt his lesson from previous attempts at cooking his game pie with a herb suet crust.
My biggest challenge is exactly the same as it's been all the way through, which is making sure that that meat is cooked right. Because there's 4 different types of meat in there. Some of it could easily be undercooked while some is overcooked, so it's making sure it's not tough.
Game pie with a herb suet crust and buttered English greens. That sounds
magnificent.
Good, solid. If the suet's great, if the greens are being cooked nicely. It bores me that they've got buttered English greens.
English greens?
Yes.
Or buttered English greens? I'd have the buttered ones every time with a little bit of salt and some black pepper. Marvellous.
The 55-year-old sailed through the Southwest regional heat.
I love the crust, I love the pie, I think it's a fantastic effort.
And in the regional final, there was just one area where there was room for improvement.
This is a little pot of delights, and the pastry, just lovely, really lovely.
Carrots really delicious, but I think in the best of all worlds, they wouldn't be quite as cooked as this, but they taste nice.
So today, Gilly's keeping an eye out for Peter's wilting veg.
I saw that you were doing something different with your carrots because we had a discussion about your slightly floppy carrots.
We did. 2 things. Actually, I tried these at home this week.
Yes.
They don't go as floppy, so I'm going to try those.
Oh, yeah. But alongside your original
But I'm going to do the original ones as well, and then I can choose the best one.
Then you can take either or.
Because these are a little bit thicker than the last ones I did.
Despite knowing he has to get everything right, he's also decided to take a gamble and make a change to his recipe.
I don't normally use as fresh as suet because I can't always get hold of it, so I use the packet, the dried suet. I'm hoping it should work just as well. In fact, it should give it a better flavour, I hope.
So you've worked it, and is it nice and light?
Yep, yeah.
You've got half an hour left, that's it.
If I start panicking or I start worrying, I'm going to start making mistakes. So I've got to stay calm so I can stay focused on what I'm doing and get it right. Because this is, one go only.
While Peter seems to be taking everything in his stride, Gilly's worried he could still trip up.
I just sometimes feel that if you don't have that little bit of adrenaline, that little edge of anxiety, you can't just rest on your laurels. Suddenly you're told 5 minutes and it all goes out of the window.
And as plating up approaches, suddenly he doesn't seem quite so confident.
Yeah, I'm not sure they look as good as they did last time. I don't know why. I think the pastry looks rougher somehow, more rustic, but I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Just across the kitchen from Peter, barman George Dingle is all too aware of the task ahead.
The biggest challenge today is just getting the pastry right, making sure that it comes out the oven crisp and the filling's nice and creamy, like I did on the first day, really.
Chicken stroganoff pie with triple cooked chips. We all know about triple cooked chips. That's how you make them really crispy.
Stroganoff is not a pie, and stroganoff is not chicken.
So we think this is a chicken and mushroom pie with a bit of sour cream in it. As a concept, that says quite.
If it's a good chicken and mushroom pie, all is forgiven. Marvellous.
In the Midlands heat, the 19-year-old's chicken stroganoff pie was certainly a dish to remember.
I like the flavours of the paprika coming through. The chips are lovely, the asparagus is cooked beautifully, the pastry's delicious.
But in the regional final, he almost came unstuck after overfilling his pie.
The sauce, too much, too thin, has boiled, and it's left 3/4 of the pastry completely raw.
I know George can make a beautiful pie. I've tasted it, I've seen it. So I'm going to be nostalgic today and I'm going to look back to the good old days.
George's pie and chips.
With the competition now fiercer than ever, George knows he can't afford any more mistakes.
It's going okay so far. I'm a little bit panicked, got a lot going on, but it's going to go okay, I think.
Aware that he has a history of hit and miss dishes, the judges keep a close eye on the youngest mains cook.
Oh, golly, you've got paprika galore there. It's making me cough. I can't believe it. I hope you haven't overdone it, George.
Right.
I want to look after you, George.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I don't want you to crash. He's the only cook here today who has to improve his dish hugely to even stand a chance.
Yeah, the thing is, George, I mean, the first time you delivered this...
Sorry, John, be there back in a minute.
He's really panicking.
With so much to get right, George doesn't even have time to take advice from John, although he isn't panicking over his filling.
The filling's getting there, the taste is really creamy, it's nice and heartwarming, I suppose, and it just needs to thicken up a little bit more, then ready to go into the dishes.
But the judges don't quite share his confidence.
Today is the test. It's third time lucky for George. His filling does taste wonderful, it really does. But then I told him, I said, you know, try and let the filling cool down before you ladle it all into your pastry, but he hasn't. I mean, that's all been hurled in. Pastry's gone on the top and it's gone straight into the oven, so it hasn't really rested. It's a bit touch and go. I mean, if the food gods are looking down on him today, they might help him out or they might just destroy his dish and it's going to be a mess on the plate.
Pie in the oven, all George can do now is cross his fingers and hope it comes out perfect. In the next door kitchen, 31-year-old sheet metal worker Jonathan Davies hopes winning the competition will help him become a professional cook, but he knows there's no room for error.
You've got to get it right at this stage in the competition. It's winning's everything.
In the Northern Regional Heat, the curry connoisseur's seared masala spring lamb was almost a 10 out of 10 with the judges.
I couldn't find a single flavour there that jarred. They all married beautifully together.
The spinach is lovely. I love the potato. It's a complete meal.
Jonathan served up another near-perfect curry in the regional final.
That onion chutney, sweet, delicious chutney, is good enough to be bottled. You make yourself a lot of money, I'll have a little cut.
But the judges still thought one change would improve the dish.
If there's a criticism here, I'd say it's the cut of meat isn't the right one for a dish like this.
What would you use?
I'd use best end of lamb.
Having heeded Ed's advice, Jonathan has changed to an unfamiliar cut of lamb.
This cook's completely different to the shoulder. It's so tender.
Jonathan is so keen to win and mindful of the potential pitfalls of cooking in a professional kitchen that he's doing a dummy run on his new cut of lamb.
I'm just testing the lamb now, just to make sure that I don't overcook it in the ovens, as these a lot more ferocious than my oven at home.
Now comes the crucial part of the test, the tasting, to see if he's managed to master the new cut of meat.
Can I have a tiny taste off the edge? Yeah. I'm not your only judge, but for me is that a tiny bit pink? I don't know. Your crust tastes undercooked.
Right.
I mean, so the overall impression in the mouth is of something that isn't quite...
Yeah.
I don't know if it's able to get the crust a little bit more crusty.
Yeah. I think maybe just get the pan a little bit more
Have a taste
hotter.
yourself and see what you think. I think it tastes a little bit unfinished. It tastes a little bit as though it's still in the process of being cooked, really.
Another element of the dish he'll have to get absolutely right is his restaurant-style coriander and rosewater foam.
If you just tasted the foam by itself, with the spices, they'll just completely overpower it. The whole reason why there's lemon in it, just to obviously cut through them spices. That's my palate. How them guys downstairs might see it, I haven't got a clue.
Seared masala spring lamb with oven-roasted Bombay potato and a coriander and rosewater foam.
Do you know, it was going so well until you got to the last three words, the rosewater foam.
I sort of slightly worry that this guy or girl is going to be working so hard on this little frisson of, you know, brilliance, this rosewater foam, which certainly in the mind seems to totally contradict the kind of good, hearty spiciness of this dish. Do you want a bit of sweet rosewater? Do you want it foamed up?
If the masala spring lamb and the oven-roasted Bombay potatoes are good enough, I will overlook the foam.
It looks like even a perfectly cooked lamb might not be enough to win over the critics.
The lamb is a new cut. He's very proud of it. He did some testers of the lamb, and I tasted it. Are the critics looking for very pink lamb in a curry? This could be a little step too far.
So can Jonathan get his meat just right when he has to serve it for real? Coming up, the cooks have to deliver.
This has got to be the best curry that you've ever made in your life.
Yes, I'm going to give my 100% right now.
Some think it's already in the bag.
I still think I've got a winning dish. It's an unusual dish.
And will the critics give peas a chance?
Oh my God, there's some mushy peas in there.
Welcome back once more to the national finals of Britain's Best Dish. Our 7 main course cooks have been thrown in at the deep end, all right. They're wrestling with the unfamiliar surroundings of the professional kitchens at the Hackney Community College, plus facing the daunting prospect of serving their dishes up to 3 of the country's top food critics. They're an uncompromising bunch, this lot, and nothing less than perfection will do for them.
As well as competing against the 6 other mains cooks, housewife Najia Salman has another battle on her hands.
Today you're competing with 2 other curries.
Yes.
You're not alone flying the flag. There are 3 of you.
Yeah, but my curry is totally different from the other 2, so it gives me an edge.
Well, I think they're all totally different, to be absolutely truthful. I don't think that although they share the word curry, they're not similar at all.
I'm quite excited by the chicken korma and naan bread, partly because of its simplicity of description, but I wouldn't mind some lady fingers, a little bit of pilau rice.
Rice? I'm assuming there's going to be rice with it, but I think it's rather clever because, this cook can do whatever they like. So if they feel like adding some very seasonal greens or vegetables of the moment, they can.
But why do you assume there's rice with it?
Because it's a korma.
She won't be serving any rice with her chicken badami korma, but that didn't stop the dish ticking almost all the boxes for the judges in the East of England heats.
It's mind-blowingly good.
Really interesting flavours. Only thing I'd like is some yoghurt on the side, just to cool things down.
In the regional final, Najia's korma conquered again, even though there was still something missing.
I love this dish, and it hasn't disappointed one bit.
The only thing I'd like is a little yoghurt, so you could mix it up.
Today, she will be making 2 new accompaniments, a yoghurt for Ed and a coconut coleslaw for Ed.
We'll add a coconut thing to the dish as Ed asked for. So I think this is the positive salad for the dish.
For Najia to win, John also thinks she needs to make a slight change to her dish, specifically the way she chops the almonds for her curry.
They weren't so fine. They were a bit granular. Any reason for that? Was that the blender or...?
It might be the blender. I should try to do them more finer this time.
It's just, what it did was it changed the texture of the curry completely.
So, yeah, I will try that as I'd made it before.
I preferred it Mark 1 as opposed to Mark 2. And I hope that I'm right in saying that I think the food critics will prefer Mark 1 as well.
Okay.
Anyway, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Sharing John's concerns, Ed spells out just what's required.
So today you're going to deliver 100%. This has got to be the best curry that you've ever made in your life.
Yes, I'm going to give him 100% right now.
But will even Najia's best efforts be good enough to see her come out in the top 2? Today's final curry, a Burmese monkfish one, comes from Malcolm Condi, a dish that's impressed so much that Ed's paid him the ultimate compliment.
I love this curry. Yeah, I made it the other day. I love it that much. I cooked it up. It was fantastic.
In the Scottish regional heat being the operative word, the retired car salesman's dish literally blew the judges away.
That's the hottest thing I've ever put in my mouth, ever in my life, and I had a tiny bit.
The monkfish is beautifully cooked. It's such a full flavour.
This monkfish curry is divine.
In the regional final, Ed and Gilly steered well clear of the 63-year-old's red-hot chilli condiment, but John was a little braver.
If you were serving this yourself at your own restaurant, would you include that?
Definitely, I love it. I'm going to have some, but not too much because it's really powerful.
Don't have that much.
Yeah.
Don't have that much. That's a big mistake.
Bang.
Something's just dropped off.
Despite John's reaction to the chilli, Malcolm is definitely sticking to his red-hot recipe.
You're so practiced at this dish, aren't you?
Yeah, I cook every day, every weekend, you know.
Dear.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you about your condiment. I see it lurking over here.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, how much of this would you eat?
Me, probably about a teaspoon.
Malcolm uses the fiery monkey chili, one of the hottest peppers on the planet, to spice up his condiment. And it's the big talking point among the judges.
I've been brought up in the Far East and I can handle most hot things, but those chilies blew my head off.
What's amusing me is I'm looking forward to it being part of the critics.
Yeah. Well, if they try it, you know.
They've got to try it. It's part of the dish, absolutely.
And finally, there's a fish dish. Burmese monkfish curry with coconut rice and tomato kyeot.
I do like a good Burmese curry, and I haven't had one for years.
It does lend itself to slow cooked dishes because it's got such wonderful meaty, chunky textures, and monkfish lives happily with a good sauce.
Malcolm's familiarity with cooking his fish dish means he's super confident about beating his rivals.
I still think I've got a winning dish. It's an unusual dish, you know, so keep my fingers crossed.
But will his overconfidence lead to complacency?
No, not right. Need more fish sauce.
With the stakes higher than ever, Malcolm knows he needs to get that taste just right in time for plating up.
Yeah. Right, guys, that's it. Plate up.
Pies are looking alright, it's just a hard bit trying to get them out now.
It's all cooked though, isn't it?
Can I have a ladle, please?
Beautiful. Can you smell it?
Time's up, the mains must be served, and it's now out of the cook's hands. Just 2 of the 7 will survive today's cull and make it to the head-to-head final. While the critics sample the dishes, the judges will be keeping a close eye on them.
Right. To work.
First on the tasting table is Andrew Batchelor's ultimate fish and chips. Will his last-minute decision to inject the fish with mushy peas backfire on him?
When the food critics taste my dish, I hope they just say, you know, the mushy peas was a good idea, just so I prove Gilly wrong.
Actually,
good chip.
Not bad.
Quite nice chip. Nice batter. Fish is really nice soft texture. Quite like that.
Let's open it out and see what...
See if they notice that he's got this marrow fat peas in the cod.
Oh my God, there's some mushy peas in there.
I think the fish is marginally overdone, completely underseasoned, and the idea of putting mushy peas inside the batter is folly.
I knew he wouldn't like that.
I know, so did I. I said to Andrew, they won't like the peas in your fish.
After a difficult time in the kitchen, has George Dingle turned things round to deliver a perfect chicken stroganoff pie?
I was really pleased how my pastry turned out. I was a bit worried when I put it in the oven, but it turned out nice and golden and it looked pretty crispy, so yeah, I'm pleased.
There's far too much pastry to meat, and that ratio has not really worked.
It's quite a nice flavour.
I think it's probably good. A very orange stroganoff.
Well, a bit of paprika's crept
Yeah,
in,
that's
hasn't
true. That's fine.
Orange stroganoff.
There's too much paprika, actually. It's rather overwhelming, that, I think.
Thank you.
I've got it now at the back of my throat, very peppery.
Next up is Rebecca Connolly's traditional Liverpudlian stew, scouse. She struggled with her veg and dumplings. Has she rescued them in time for the tasting?
Here, I think they could have been a little fussier with the presentation.
Yeah, but it is a stew.
What? Fussier?
I think the dumplings, I, at home, like them a little bit browner. So that might have been the only small thing, really.
Are the dumplings light as air, little clouds floating along on the surface?
I think they sting like a bee more than float like a butterfly, to be honest.
She has made a bloody huge dumpling, that's for sure, though, hasn't she? It's like the size of a cricket ball.
There isn't enough depth of flavour in this stew to really make it work.
Yeah, I'm disappointed.
Peter Stafford's game pie is next up for the critics' consideration. Will his new pastry mix pass the test?
It comes down at this stage to personal taste. If they don't like my combination of flavours, it's a lousy dish. If they do, it's a great dish.
Actually, it's got a good smell.
Now, what is there in there?
It's very fragrant, isn't it?
It is quite sweet. The pastry is very interesting. Almost floral.
Loads of herbs,
Sage,
mate.
thyme.
Loads of them.
I rather like this because it's taken a kind of rather old-fashioned simple pie to a slightly new level.
Next, it's Jonathan Davies. Has his decision to switch to best end of lamb paid off in his seared masala spring lamb? Or is the foam and rosewater too much for the critics?
I can see something like the bit left from the washing up on the top there.
I told you they wouldn't like the foam.
This girl, whoever it is, has done, foam and smear, and they're trying to do lots of kind of little bits of chefy trickery.
It might be
It's better be fantastic. This is lamb, isn't it? The spicy, is it the masala lamb?
Look at that.
Hopefully the food critics are saying, I love this dish. I love how it's got a modern take on Indian food. They might be saying it's rubbish. Who knows?
Very good flavour.
That foam's good. Well, I didn't like the look of it, but the flavour actually was quite nice because there was a subtle hint of coriander.
It's just a plate full of exciting flavours.
Very good
You want to go
flavours.
back and taste this one with that, with the other.
Very good flavour.
What's clever, here you've got lots of different things going on the plate. The chef, the cook, has brought them all together at the right time. They really complement each other. There's a real kind of adventure as you kind of work your way around it.
Coming up, the critics are almost lost for words.
That should come with a warning on it.
It's time for the judges to tuck in.
I think this is his best effort.
and which two mains cooks will emerge victorious.
The first person to go through is...
Our cooks have now done all they can. It's over to the critics, plus our usual panel of judges, of course, John, Gilly and Ed, to decide their fate. The question is, which two dishes go through and who goes home?
Next to face the critics is housewife Najia Salman. Has she improved her chicken badami korma by adding 2 new accompaniments?
No rice.
No rice? Because you got naan.
I thought that I should do it as beautiful as I can, so the critics and the judges will say like, wow, they have seen a really nice thing and they have got a really nice thing to taste.
There's almost no flavour at all in that.
No, I think the flavour is there. I just think it's not, it hasn't been done any favours. It needs a little bit more work.
Under season.
Yeah.
Bread's quite good.
Yeah, the bread's good.
Finally, will Malcolm Condi's Burmese monkfish curry match his sky-high confidence? Or will his super hot chilli condiment blow his chances?
That's lovely. Oh, that is very good.
It's a terrific compliment, isn't it?
I'll try a bit of that.
Ooh!
That'll do
It's
it.
happening. Oh my God, it is very hot. We're all going to be weeping here.
I think it's terrific.
And that got, actually, is there, I'm going to have some of that.
Yes! Yay!
That should come with a warning on it.
Well, I hope the food critics look at the dish because it's an unusual dish because they've never had Burmese food.
Oh, I like Burmese monkfish curry.
Very much.
I'd very happily eat this again.
So would I. What a good finale.
A very
really.
nice thing. Yeah.
Terrific finale. A great way to end this round of main meals.
Kind of explosion of heat.
Right, come on, guys, it's our turn. Let's go and taste this food. So we start off with fish and chips.
Putting mushy peas in the fillet of fish within the batter ruins it.
Works beautifully with the mushy peas.
Yeah, I know.
This guy or this girl knows how to cook, but they've got to stop trying to improve that dish.
This is a stroganoff pie.
I think this is his best effort.
Pastry was excellent. I mean, that I could have eaten. I'd rather like to have just sat there and eaten the pastry.
Very hard to find fault with this pie. As a pie goes, it's up there, isn't it?
I actually thought there was too much, was it paprika on that chicken?
Not the prettiest dish in the world,
No.
I have to say. Presentation-wise, no.
And the dumplings I found pretty intransigent. I mean, you couldn't do much with those dumplings other than throw them a very long way.
Her dumplings are a bit large. I do agree, they're a bit too deep.
It didn't deliver the big flavours it could have done, and that's a real pity.
I love this game pie, but I think there's too much pastry going on here.
There is a lot of pastry, isn't there?
That cook was not really a pastry cook. Also, there was no finesse to the pastry.
No,
Not as good.
That's a shame. That's a shame on the day.
There was something on the side. Oh, it was a carrot. The carrot was wrinkly and old, but that's what happens when you put them in the oven for a while.
And he's used best end of lamb this time, and it's a massive improvement.
It was cooked by someone who had utter confidence to cook every single part of that dish perfectly well and bring it together, and it worked beautifully.
Looks good, doesn't it?
Well, beautiful in pink.
Yeah.
Hey, I even liked a coriander and rosewater foam.
Yes, I'd like it again now.
Chicken korma?
Yeah.
Obviously, the real difference this korma is it's got lots of almonds in it.
I love korma, but there was no sweetness. Actually, the almonds, I don't think I think could have done with a bit of cooking.
I tell you what you won't find in that.
Salt.
Any seasoning.
The bread was nice.
I thought the bread was very good.
Now that's for you, Ed.
This little fella, we've all tried it now, and I think most of us, well, I am anyway, scared of that, the monkey chili relish.
There was a plateful of food there where all the elements worked together. They were on the same team, and it was very, very good.
You know, I'm really glad about this dish because it's the first time we shut the critics up for good.
If it's not Britain's best dish, it must be Burma's best dish.
So we're ready to pass our scores?
Scoring. I'll have to pass up another chip, sadly.
The judges' and critics' scores are combined, and now, after a demanding day in the kitchen, it's time to find out which two mains cooks will survive the culinary cull and stay in the running for the competition's £10,000 first prize.
The moment you've been waiting for, we've got the results. Now, these are based on the combined score of the three critics and we three, the judges. On the strength of that, 2 of you go through to the head-to-head, and 5 of you, very regrettably, go home. So, in no particular order, the first person to leave the competition is Rebecca. I'm very sorry. The next person to leave the competition is Nadia. Sorry. The third person to leave the competition is George. The next person to leave the competition, I know this is agonising, is Peter. So that leaves us with Jonathan, Malcolm, and Andrew. Unfortunately, only 2 can go through to the final head-to-head. You 3 have got the highest scores today. The first person to go through between you 3 is Malcolm. Two of you left. 2 great dishes, I have to say. We loved them. They were both fantastic. Andrew, really excellent. You took some risks. I think they came good for you today. Jonathan, you've been consistently good. Terrific change of meat. Worked a treat. Both great dishes, but sadly, we only have 1 of you going through from this point. And that person is Jonathan.
It's just another step in the direction to winning, and to achieving my dream.
Well done.
Today's winners were the ones that got it right, not just because they used those exciting mixtures of spices, but actually because they got it all just right. There was never a note out of place.
When Gilly announced my name, I actually thought I was out of the competition. It took me a minute or so before I realised that I was, you know, the one to go through. I felt overwhelmed.
Well done, Malcolm. You've been cool all along. We encompassed nearly everything you could possibly have in Britain, being cooked in kitchens at home and being admired and appreciated. We had it all here. It's been very exciting.